Well, in our distant rearview mirror is, of course, the horrors of the Nazi Germany and the Holocaust. Not that distant, though,
Not that distant.
in terms of world history. And we're going to get a little smarter about a part of it, an important part of it that ties into the Constitution. Later on, when we listen to your weekly Constitutional on WETS FM, we've got a little preview here. This is the host, Stuart Harris. He's also professor of law at Lincoln Memorial University and the Duncan School of Law. Welcome.
Thanks very much, Josh.
As I was a kid, as you were a kid, we were going through that period where those who had taken part in the atrocities of the Holocaust and then somehow went into hiding, went into other countries.
Right.
They love South America, and then they get found.
Yes, they do.
And then they get brought back into the court systems. One of them I remember is John Demjanjuk, and you're talking about what happened to him, right?
Yes, indeed. I'm speaking with a fellow by the name of Lawrence Douglas. He's a professor at Amherst. He's a law professor, even though they don't have a law school. They study law as a social phenomenon. Lawrence is a great guy, and one of his areas of expertise is war crimes, which is a very constitutional subject. And Lawrence wrote a book. It's called The Right, Wrong Man.
Love the title.
Isn't that a great title?
Yeah.
And it's about a particular Nazi war criminal by the name of John Demjanjuk. He came to the United States under false pretenses. He was charged with being a terrible Nazi guard named Ivan the Terrible, was his actual nickname. He was convicted, he was deported, he was sentenced to prison, and then all of a sudden they realized he was the wrong guy.
I had forgotten that part of the story.
Everything went backward. He was reinstated. He was sent back to Ohio, where he'd been an automobile worker.
Oh, my
And
word.
then they realized that he wasn't Ivan the Terrible, he was another Nazi war camp guard. So they tried him a second time and deported him a second time.
Maybe that's why his name is so familiar. He
Yes.
was all over the news.
He was
a few
all over the
decades
newspaper.
ago.
Yes, he was. He really was.
And so this is a look, I imagine, through the lens of the Constitution, because he had become American citizen?
Yes, he had been. And the rule from the United States perspective is that if you lie to get in, then you can be denaturalized. Your citizenship can be revoked. That's one of the few circumstances under which
And
it
he
can
certainly
be.
didn't say, hey, I
No.
just had this little experience with
No,
the
he
Nazis.
did not. Well, it's kind of funny. They say the occupying forces said you went over to Germany after World War II and there weren't any Nazis anywhere.
Yeah.
Couldn't find them. My dad was with the occupying forces in Austria after the Second World War. He said you couldn't find a Nazi anywhere. Well, they were there, or they were here, because many of them emigrated to our country under false pretenses. And so this is a really interesting story, and probably one of the last great Nazi war trials, because there just aren't that many of them left.
And so many of them were under the authority of people who were telling them to do things, so holding them accountable. He was, though, at the higher ranks.
Yes,
though,
it was a big, big issue,
Yeah.
and we talk about the law and we talk about how it developed, so it's a really interesting discussion.
Looking forward to it. Sunday at 3, Tuesday the rebroadcast at 8. WETS FM is a great place to listen to it locally, but go online, you can hear it no matter where you are. Stuart, thanks.
Thank you very much, Josh.